Hi everyone, it's Demetrius here again from Obi Pixel. I'm coming back to you today after a long time, but it's a long story. And today it'll be all about Obi Wish, my brand that has that's dealt with children's literature and books and book writing and publishing. And just wanted to let parents and kids know, well, if you're a parent and you have little kids, say from the ages of, say, 7 years old to roughly 13, 14, young teenagers, and you want them to read great stories, but as you know, teenagers and young kids don't like to read very big books because there's just too much to read. Well, I have a surprise for you. So hold on and you'll check it out. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, when I was at the age of 16 to the ages of 18, I wrote a story, in fact, a pretty long story, for young kids at the time and teenage years, because I was going through those teenage years. I was, 16, 17, 18 when I was thinking about these stories. And as a young lad, I was always mesmerized by dragons and the adventures of the world and love and compassion and friendship, which of course today they're sorely missed in this crazy world we live in. But at that time I didn't think of that. Anyway, so I never did anything with the stories. And at the age of 50, which is 37 years later, I've decided to publish the books. And I have begun with the first one, which is Dragons of Aetheria, and it is all about the Forgotten Pact. And this is a story about James and his introduction really to the dragon world, and how he gets to meet his dragon, and how they realize that there's a forgotten pact between humans and dragons, and how he goes about trying to rebuild this forgotten secret, this forgotten pact. And it's a beautiful story, and you're going to love it. I'm not going to talk about what the dragon's name is. You're going to get to see that in the book. The second book in the trilogy was completed at the end of, roughly at the end of last year, and that is, again, Dragons of Aetheria, but this time it's the Awakening Bond. This storyline changed the plot a little bit. It gave James a bit more depth. It introduced two new characters, obviously in his life, two women, young ladies in fact. And the storyline is all about how he goes about having this great friendship and how this great friendship works together in solving the life mystery of what's happened in Aetheria and at the city of Eldoria, at this wonderful, great, ancient library. But more importantly, there's a love story twist in this book. And it's a love story twist that's gonna play out throughout the series and towards the end. But in this storyline, there's also a tragedy, and there is a big tragedy with regards to another sorceress and her dragon, and James embarks together with his friend to be able to go out there and try and turn around this foe, this sorceress and her dragon, to bring them to his side, to the side of the dragons and Aetheria, and not the evil side. So this is a classic book of good versus evil, and it's a beautiful storyline. It's written very easily for kids, and it's only 120 pages roughly for each one of these manuscripts. And the beginning of, towards the end of December last year and roughly the end of February this year, I completed the storyline of the trilogy, and I put together the final story, which I hadn't finished when I was younger. This was the last book that I never finished, and I decided to complete the storyline, and I put together the final book, which is Dragons of Aetheria and the Eclipse of Fate. Now, this book has a very big twist. Things change in the storyline. Love becomes a great thing and a very painful thing and dangerous thing, like we all know it can be. But it ultimately does potentially change the course of all of the protagonists in the story. both James and his other two lady protagonists. And also, it changes the entire path for the dragons at Aetheria in Eldoria as well, and in the ancient magical dragon kingdom. But there's also a plot and twist to the story, because James has to finally meet up with his fate, his calling, the one thing that has been driving him so far throughout this entire series. And of course, well, the Dragon Master does return. So these wonderful 3 books that I've put out together basically have culminated my young little career in writing short novels, basically, as a teenager. And I hope that parents and their young kids enjoy these stories. I mean, I wrote them when I was really young, and that's the approach I've taken. I've definitely polished them, and I've created a bit of an ambience around the books, and they're available on order on the website as shown below when you see it popping up. But I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to thank my family and thank my friends for having the patience with me throughout this whole process. I want to thank God as well for getting me through these 50 years that I've got through as a young man. And more importantly, I want to let kids know that, these books, you're not going to be reading one book, you're going to be reading 3 books. And the storylines are great because they follow on, and they're easy to read. Kids are going to love these stories because they're easy to read. Basically, we're not talking about large font here. We're talking about easy to read pages and blocks of pages, and writing is not very thin, so it's actually very good on our eyes. Each book is roughly 120 pages, so they're not a full novel. It could be a full novel in one, but it is what we call a short novella, and I've got 3 of them in this trilogy, and they're available on purchase now directly from me. I will not go to a publisher. I have chosen not to go with publishing because I would lose creative control in my story, and they wanted me to alter the narrative and agendas in the book, and I am not prepared to do that. I write books and stories in their purest form. I believe in the stories. I believe in the good nature of people. I love concepts in the world such as love and friendship and compassion and loyalty and spirit and the embodiment of culture and the embodiment of honor. Okay, those are very important traits in my life, and I've been influenced by many things in my life. Being 50 years old now, I've been through quite a few things. And as you get older, you start reflecting on what's happened in the past. And yes, there's a lot of things that have happened in the past that I do regret, as any other human would have. But I am very thankful for where I am today. However, in today's crazy world and in the insane hidden agendas that we have around the world, both in literature and in the film industry, it's kind of demoralizing for people, especially for young kids today, going through and watching films and reading books. And this is the reason why I write wholesome stories, stories that kids can get to the bottom of and truly appreciate and also enjoy, and have fun with. Because, I mean, when is the last time kids really, at the ages, say, between 7 and 8, all the way to say 13 and 14, just, when they're starting to really get to grips with their teenagers, when have they really truly enjoyed their story reading? Most of the time today, everything's done digitally, so it's quite an unusual thing to take a little book and just read it on the couch. And this is a 120 page each type short novella, which the young teenager and the young kid can get through relatively quickly. So they'll enjoy the stories. So that's it for the storyline with regards to my trilogy that I've now released, which is the Dragons of Aetheria trilogy. The trilogy has ended at the 3 books. I am working on another set of storylines. I don't know how long that will be, but that's going to be something that I've also written when I was younger. That was written when I was 21, and I never published, but I am repolishing the stories and staying tuned for those. And if you're interested, take a look at the obiwish.com, obiwish.com. You'll see it on the screen. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, they're available to everyone directly from my website. Now, I also want to apologize to everyone for not making videos for that long. It's been a while, roughly close to 6 months now. It was not my intention. I intend to build this YouTube channel as far as it can go. And as you can see, I am not editing my videos. I don't cut the videos. I'm not going to go and make videos at such a high production value right now. I think that can come later. And more importantly, I'm very comfortable talking in front of the camera. But it's been a bit of a hefty ride, apart from December having a bit of a tough time having to travel back home and visit my mom, who's not doing too well. Excuse me, the tricky thing that I've had to go through, the challenge that I've had to go through, is that mid-February I had a pretty crazy accident with boiling water, and suffice to say that I've had to recover since then. And of course, this is the result from it. It is first-degree burns, and it's pretty intensive. For the first 3 to 4 weeks, it was excruciating pain. And it's been a tough time trying to get through this. Luckily, the burns haven't burned through any of the nerve systems, and my skin is going to recover, and it's recovering every day with redressing of these wounds every second day. I've been going to the clinics in Wales and Cardiff and in Barry in Wales where I live, and all the doctors and the nurses have been absolutely incredible. It shocks me as how good they are, and I'm really, really, really thankful for their efforts and hard work in helping me recover. So thank you to everyone. You know who you are. And what can I say? When you go through accidents like this, and the accident nearly hit my face, and luckily I very quickly blocked with this right hand, but unfortunately it fell onto the other hand. But luckily it didn't go onto my face, otherwise I would be permanently scarred. And well, I'm not exactly a good looking guy, but at the end of the day I wouldn't mind just keeping what I have. So that's why I've been away. I'm laughing about this because it's the only time I've been able to actually sit in front of a camera and actually do any work, because I finally got some feelings in my hands and I'm able to do things. And that's why I wanted to say my apologies to everyone for not making videos a little sooner, but this is what it's been, right? I've been through a bit of a tragedy, but it's not something that's going to completely take over my life. It's something that I'm dealing with. Otherwise, thank you, everyone. I'm sorry you had to listen to all that at the end, the ranting at the end, but I can only say one thing about this crazy burn that I've been through. If it wasn't for my remembering of my first aid training and fire training when I was younger, I wouldn't have been in this fortunate position to have only burnt my skin. You know, very quickly, just to tell you what you do when you have a burn, immediately you put it under a tap for at least 30 to 45 minutes. Immediately. It doesn't have to be very cold water, but it needs to be cold enough. Then, ideally, if you can, at the same time, while you're pulling it in and out the water tap, try and create a bowl of water with salt. Salt and water will create a kind of saline solution, and that will allow you, when you dip your hand in that kind of solution, that saline solution, will not just take down the heat of the burn, but it'll also be an anti-inflammatory, and more importantly, it will be an antiseptic, especially with the salt. You don't have to use anything else. Don't put anything else on your hands. And then go and see a doctor immediately, or a clinic immediately. It took me roughly 4 to 5 hours to deal with this on my own before I finally had to go to the doctors, because obviously I had to drive to the hospital, and it's about 30 minutes away. So 40 minutes at least underwater, water and salt saline solution. After that, as long as possible, you can use ice, which is what I did, and then get to the hospital and doctors as quickly as possible and let them look at it. Now, obviously, with me, it was accidents and emergencies in Cardiff University Hospital. Yes, they're very busy and they took their time to look at me, but I had my hand under a tap throughout the whole process at the hospital as well. So it wasn't like they left me alone. And thank God I did that, because it saved my hand. And today, while I'm going in and I'm doing all my redressings here at the clinic, I can only say one thing about the nurses and the hospitals. They're absolutely incredible, and we should be very thankful that we have accidents and emergency departments. So thank you to everyone. Otherwise, that's all I have to say, everyone. Thank you. I'm back, and I'm back with a vengeance, and I'll be doing a lot more videos from now on. All sorts of videos, so look out for them. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. And this is again Demetrius from OB Pixel, signing out.